What's up guys, gals, and non-binary pals? I'm Aurora Loren, and it's nice to finally meet you. Welcome to my channel, and as you can probably tell from the title of this video, I am a transgender woman, as in MTF, male to female. A lot of you were kind of meeting me today for the first time, considering prior to this video and actually my post on Facebook coming out, I never really told many people how I identified as a transgender woman, just because there is an aspect of risk involved with it, considering that there's a very high murder rate for transgender women, especially of color. So it's just been really difficult in order to embrace this. I've had to overcome a lot of insecurities and fears, especially of my safety. So wish me luck. So I've decided to begin this video with me before makeup and hair, just because I wanted you guys to see the perspective of a trans woman. I wake up every day and I see this in the mirror, and granted, I still find myself somewhat attractive.
Even though I look like a burnt chicken nugget, I still love myself.
But I still kind of feel like this is not who I want to be, it's not who I should be, it's not who I am.
That is not correct.
So I kind of wanted to start off with a quote from Steph Saniati, another YouTuber who is a transgender woman. She's very inspiring, and I think this quote really touched me and resonated with me, because there is this feeling that as a transgender woman you have to become hyper feminine in order to compensate for the already present masculinity. So she says, "I've always been uncomfortable with my maleness, not my masculinity," and I think that's something that really resonated with me, because it's not being masculine that's an issue with me. It's not that I want to emulate this idea of what a woman should be in society. I'm not trying to play off of the stereotypical roles of women or assimilate to any idea of what a woman should be, as much as I am just a woman. I feel like I'm a woman, and I think that I've always been a woman.
Am I a womb?
Ever since I was younger, I've played with things that a girl would play with. I was interested in Polly Pockets and makeup and dresses. I wanted to wear heels and lip gloss, and the other boys around me, they did not like that. They wanted to play with Hot Wheels and G.I. Joe dolls and things that were typically masculine. They liked wearing shorts, and they liked wearing their baseball uniforms, and that's just something that I never felt congruent with. So I kind of just always knew I was different from a very young age. Probably when I was like 5 years old, I really started to know that I didn't identify as a man. But at that age, you can't really articulate. You don't know the words to put together to really explain how you feel or who you are, and really who at 5 years old really has any idea who they are.
Hey, I want to be famous.
As much as they just know their gender, and they don't really know how to explain it, but they just know it's true. They know it to be true. So I guess I kind of always knew I was different, and I didn't know exactly how or why. After that stage of childhood, there is this period of time where you're taught how to be masculine or how to be feminine if you're FTM, but I think that there is this constant ideation of what you could be, and what you want to be, what you should be, but I think you can't really express that. You're not allowed to. You're taught that you should be interested in the things that are directed towards the construct that you should fill, and I think that that is one of the problems with our society, but it's something that we really can't change at the moment. So with that being said, I think that for a long time I presented masculine, I presented male, and I grew my beard out, I wore masculine clothes, I hung out with a lot of guys. I tried to present myself as masculine so that I could fit in. I thought I could maybe like escape this reality, and that's something that I tried to do just because everyone told me I was supposed to do it. And had I had the support or the recognition for being who I am and for being a member of the LGBT community who has their own queer identity, then it would have been more helpful, I think, in my pursuit of happiness and my process of maturation. However, that isn't what happened, and I think it still taught me a lot, and I wouldn't take it back, because there's so many things I've learned that helped me realize that it is my maleness that I am uncomfortable with, not my masculinity. There's a lot of things about masculinity that apply to the feminine perspective, and I think that goes both ways. But we look at it in a very binary way, and I think that makes it so difficult for trans people and cis people alike, because there's so many things that we're told that we can't enjoy and that we can't allow ourselves to do. And I think the point of this video, and probably the rest of my channel, is going to be to kind of break down that architecture of society.
We're breaking free.
And I think that we can do that all together. I think if we all had our own personal revolution in allowing ourselves to do the things that make us comfortable and make us who we are, then I think there'd be a lot more happiness, a lot more peace and harmony. So I'm gonna take a little brief intermission and kind of beat my face and put on a hairpiece, a wig, I guess, and show you guys how I feel like I should be presented as, because that's who I am.
You don't need to wear makeup. Like, I don't have to wipe my ass either, but it is like a preference of mine.
And until my hair grows or I'm on HRT and I start my medical transition, I won't be able to really fully look like a woman without these extra steps. And that's what we call passing. So, I'll see you guys in a bit. So, let's get started. You can't present yourself every day of the year, like it's unrealistic. Like there are so many times that I go out to eat and I don't have a wig on, or it's been a day and I haven't been able to shave, so I have this like horrible stubble, and I'm like, if I put on my wig right now, it's gonna be dead obvious, and at that point it's more unsafe than if I just like walked up with my short hair and stubble in an outfit that might be more feminine but still is kind of masculine. Like anyone should be held accountable that is trans for not passing all the time. I don't think that that's their fault. I think it's a lot of work. This just took like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Wait. It's me, Miley. Bitch, I've been nude. All you had was a wig.
Like, that's ridiculous. Like, no one has that time every day.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
There are a few things I want to address that are kind of important to me and have been important to me throughout this process of transitioning, even before my medical transition, which I have not started yet. And I think that it would be important for any of my viewers who are trans or are considering being trans, not that they weren't already, just like to actually follow through with the process, for them to hear this and to kind of hear my perspective, because I think it's important. I also think that this is informational as well as helpful to those who are trying to be allies and advocates, who want a better understanding and who want to play a better role in the LGBT community of supporting and not being misinformed. I am not a radical concept, I'm a person. I'm not pretending or seeking attention, I'm merely liberated. And no, my body does not define me. I define my body. I feel like I should be able to allow myself the comfortability of expressing myself however I want to, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of others. And I think that's a luxury that everyone has the right to. My gender is not a choice. It also doesn't define me. However, most often my sex does, and I think that that's something that I kind of want to change, and I think that that's part of my perspective right now, and I need to work on that, and I think that that's okay. I think that's one of those things where if I acknowledge it, it'll get better. But yeah, no, I feel a lot of the times, I feel like I can't break out of the prison of my biological sex, because every day I wake up and it's there, especially when, like, I'm not sure if I want to go through with SRS or full medical transitioning.
My dick fell off!
I think there's like a big pressure on trans women to just like completely go through with it, and I don't know if that's fair. Like, I mean, like, there are some things I want to change. I want my voice to be a little higher. I want boobs, obviously. I want to be on HRT and get cheekbones so I don't have to create them with makeup, you know what I mean? Like, there are many things that, like, I would like to do and change about myself just to feel more comfortable, but at the same time, I don't know if it's necessary for me. I would be okay with being a chick with a dick. I don't mind that. I just, I'm gonna wait and see. Recently, I have chosen not to base my reality on the perspective of others because it's biased and unreliable, especially when the detailed truth of my experience is lost upon the people who aren't yet capable of fully understanding, typically in the pursuit of making said information a little bit more palatable or digestible for them. I don't choose to be like this. This isn't my choice. If I had a choice, I would choose not to. It'd be easier. I wouldn't have to wake up every day and get dressed and have to put on makeup and take that extra step in my everyday life. This is not a choice, but I choose to put myself at risk of endangerment every day in order to create a platform and use my voice to shout out as loudly as I can to queer identities and advocates alike that what we stand for isn't radical, but essential to the acceptance, integration, and representation of non-binary people in our society. However, there are a multitude of intersectional privileges that I obviously have and others don't that make me so much less at risk of endangerment, murder.
Give me your fucking money!
I mean, that is a real fear for trans people, especially trans people of color. And I'll be damned if I don't use them for the betterment of trans people and the LGBT community in general. I literally think every day about how I can use these privileges to just create a better world for the other people who obviously don't get dealt a good hand and aren't afforded the same opportunities as some of us. The next thing I kind of want to discuss is gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is really difficult because it's something that you have to face every day as a trans person, and it's not something you can run away from or hide from. So basically, like, every day I wake up, I look into the mirror and I see all my masculine features, and all I can think about is how I don't look the way I want to look. I don't look the way I feel, and then it makes everything that I feel seem almost invalid and not real, and it sucks. It just sucks. It sucks because I want so badly to present as how I feel. Laverne Cox talks about how she's become more comfortable with her more masculine hands or larger feet and those features that are typically masculine. Like, just think about it like this. You know when you get insecure because you see like a picture of Jennifer Aniston or Brad Pitt if you're a guy, and you're just like, oh damn, like I wish I could look like that. Imagine being the opposite gender of them and then wanting to still look like that. Like, it sucks because you're so far. You're not even like, it's not even like, oh, I can grow up to be her. It's like, oh shit, like I'm gonna have to get years of surgery, hormones, and hair removal, laser hair removal to even be close. And it's like, financially, that's such a burden and that's such a stressor on my life, like all the time, thinking that like what I want to look like, what I want to be is so vastly different than what I am now and what I have been. And the thing is that like, because there's so many people who doubt the legitimacy of trans people, I couldn't have started at a young age, and it benefits you so much to start at a young age, because if you start your medical transition on HRT prior to puberty, then like the effects of puberty never really take effect. So then you're kind of left with this blank slate that you can choose what to become. That's why like younger trans people like Jazz Jenkins have such a beautiful, great outcome, because they had that early start. And I don't think that, like, I'm not jealous that they got that. I mean, I wish I had that too, but like at the same time, like, good for them. I wish that that was more common. I wish that the discussion of trans people was a household thing, so that when a kid's growing up, it was just as important as what sport they wanted to play, or what type of toys they liked, you know what I mean, or what their room should be like. Like, I wish it was as much of a priority to understand a kid's gender as it is to pick out their style, you know what I mean? Because that's what it is. It's like your gender is your style, it's your expression. Your gender isn't congruent with your sex. Like, I wish I could tell everyone, I wish I could scream it on the rooftops to like the whole world that like Gender isn't congruent with sex. Your body does not define what your gender is. Obviously, some people are going to have an alignment between what they are and what they feel like they are, but obviously that's not going to be for everyone, and I don't think that I'm crazy. This isn't a mental disorder. I'm not suffering from some condition other than gender dysphoria. But that's normal, it's typical, and in fact it's neurotypical. If you look at the brain, there are explanations as to why that happens. They say that the white matter and gray matter in male and female's brains is just different, and like that's just how it is. So if you have a trans person, typically their brain matches with their gender identity more so than it does their biological sex. Like, there are going to be people who will support you either way, and it's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you, it's difficult. But it's worth it. It's worth it to be yourself, to be authentic to who you are, because every day that you waste a second or a minute or an hour of your time trying to pretend to be someone else, you're taking away from what you could be. That's all time and energy and effort that could be put towards you being the true version of who you are, which I guarantee you, if you took that time and put it into that, you would be so much better, you would be so much happier, you would live a life that you didn't know you could live. And I'm telling you that from experience. And I can't wait to start the rest of my transition, because it really is going to be this whole awakening. And that's why my name's Aurora, you know? Because it means dawn in Latin. So I think that this is going to be this period of life where I blossom and I get to become who I really want to be and who I am. And I think everyone deserves that. I don't think that's a luxury that only I can afford. I think that's something that if we all just were a little bit more accepting of, then anyone could have that happiness. I still think it's difficult though with gender dysphoria, because it's like, I still have to ask these questions, like, is this girl or guy gonna like me because at the end of the night when I take my wig off I look different? Like, are they gonna still appreciate me?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
There's this aspect of like, oh, do they only want me for sex? Because I think that that's a huge issue with trans people and their love life. It's one of those difficulties that comes with being trans, that like there are tons of people, especially cis men, who want to sexualize you, and you're just a fetish to them, and it sucks, because I've been on hookups and stuff and dates where it's like you get that vibe of oh, I would be friends with a trans person, but I wouldn't date them. But then it's like you're something for them to experiment with. You're an outlet for their curiosity, and you're no longer a person, you're an object, and it sucks to be objectified. I still think that it's difficult though, being treated as an object, and it's something that I can't run away from. And there have been times where, you know, I've just hooked up with someone, and then they say like, oh, I'm gonna go change the meter really quick because I live in the city, and after like 10 minutes I'm still waiting. I'm like texting them like, hey, you come back, and I realize that I'm blocked on Snapchat or blocked on whatever app we're using. And that's one thing that I can really say to any woman watching my video is, I'm so sorry that you've had to experience that for most of your life, and most men don't have to. And coming to terms with that has been really difficult, but it's also really empowering to know that like I have this interconnected web of women who are all there to support me, and who all probably experience close to the same thing, if not the same thing. And it sucks, but it's true. But it makes us stronger, and like being able to empower each other through that is one of those really beautiful parts of this process for me. They usually go, what is trans? Can you explain trans to me? Like, what does it mean to be transgender? Or what's the basis of it all? And it's just difficult because, and this is what Levi Hort talks about, how can you make advancements or get past this fundamental basis of something and understand it better and really thoroughly acknowledge a concept farther than its origin when everyone's constantly bringing you back to square one? So Levi Hort says, imagine walking into a biochemistry lab and exclaiming, stop what you're doing, stop the research. I need someone to explain cells to me. How do you know that cells are real? Google it. Well, you're the expert. I need you to explain it to me. Well, now imagine this happening again and again and again and again. There would be no advancements. And this is a struggle that is obviously paralleled with what trans people go through every day. I mean, I don't think that really ever happens in a biochemistry lab, but that is something that I experience constantly. That's what he's trying to say there. And realistically, that is something that happens all the time to trans people. We constantly are left to explain ourselves. And it's like, why? Like, I understand that because I'm the expert, I'm not even the expert, like, real shit, I don't know half the shit I'm going through yet. Like, I'm the expert, I should have to explain it to you, but it's realistically the other way around. Like, if you want to be in my life, and I'm trans, and I have to deal with this all the time, then, like, you should go Google and do your own fucking homework, and come to me and be like, hey, listen, like, I read about this, and I wanted to ask your opinion about it. That's furthering something, farther than just getting someone to reiterate the basis of something. Like, coming to me and having me reiterate what I've experienced, or what you want to hear the story, is just annoying, because it's like, how am I ever going to get past that? You know, how am I ever going to grow if I'm constantly being brought back to square one? It's really difficult. So I kind of just want to talk about the violence against trans people, because I think that's something that's really overlooked, and I think a lot of trans YouTubers are typically not trying to mention it because it is a bleak topic. But I think it's one that is important. And what are we really doing if we're not kind of opening up this awareness about this topic of violence? Because it's happening, it's current. So many trans girls and trans guys are constantly being murdered across America, across the whole world, and we just sit back and we don't do anything about it. And half the time, like more than half the time, really do your research. I really challenge you to go and look up onto HRC's website, because surprisingly that's one of the only places you can get good statistics about it, which is kind of shitty. Like, the other places make you pay for it. But if you really look, you'll see that most of these crimes that are committed aren't even handled as hate crimes. They're just handled as regular murder. It's not like it was like 5-10 years ago. It's still happening, 2018, 2019.
America, explain! Explain!
I guess what I hope you take from this video is that there's something to be gained from all people being united, trans included. And that doesn't mean, like, assimilating to any one type of person or any one type of group. I think that more or less it should be about integrating our thoughts and perspectives so that we can collaborate on a more common objective of peace and harmony, and figuring out how to enact that in everyday life, to where we appreciate our differences and realize those different qualities that set us apart, that make us so special and unique. So whether you're a member of the LGBT community, an advocate, an ally, or just a supporter, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys check out my other videos. Bye.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.